Good morning, everyone, and welcome to OpenSchool Nigeria webinar. Today, we are going to be talking about embedding G Suite for education in our schools. And we are going to answer the why and why now questions. We are all aware that the pandemic has taken the world by surprise. Almost every school is closed down, and a lot of stakeholders in education are looking for ways and means to continue engaging students and continue delivering education even when the schools are closed. So these are some of the things we are going to talk about: the what, the why now, and how. And at the end, everyone will be given, it will be availed the opportunity to ask a question. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Tijan Abubakar, and I'm a lecturer at Jigawa State Institute of Information Technology, Informatics Kazauri, and I'm a Google certified educator level 1, level 2, and trainer. And I will be a co-presenter in today's webinar. Then Dr. Najib Abdul Hamid, who is a level 1, level 2 educator, Google trainer. He is a applied digital skills trainer as well, and as well as HubSpot and other certifications. Thirdly, we have Abdulrahman Hayatu, who is also a certified level 1 and level 2 educator. He is the Google for Education lead in DUSE, and he's an applied digital skill trainer as well. So 3 of us will be leading the presentation as we move along. So first of all, let me begin with the what. And to define this one, we need to know what G Suite is. So to know this, let's start at the beginning. G stands for Google, and Google created a cloud-based services for education. These cloud services will allow teachers, learners, or students to be engaging each other through the use of technology using the internet. So all these technologies or devices that are connecting and collaborating are created using Google platform, and they combine some of these technologies that are used in education, and they call them G Suite for education. So you will find a list of many tools that can be used to solve different or certain educational problems. So if you are in management science, physical sciences, social sciences, technology, there are specific tools for certain things. And when it comes to education or school administration, there are different tools in this G Suite that will help you carry out different tasks in your schools. So as we move along, you will be seeing some of these tools. Some of them are used for collaboration, some are for video creation, some are assessment. There are different kinds of tools that can be used for different educational activities in school and outside schools. So without taking much of our time, let us move on to Abdul Hayat to continue talking about these tools so that we understand more and get to understand what G Suite are. So thank you all. Abdul Hayat, back to you.
an email message to any person around the world who is having an email address to. Gmail is a third-party program, and that synchronize email content through a lot of things, POP and IMAP, some of the protocols Google uses to make synchronizations within or using it to send your emails. Google Meet, this is a simple communication tool which we are using right now. The thing we are using to deliver this webinar is called Google Meet. It's like with the help of this pandemic, a lot of people I know heard about Zoom. Yeah, Zoom is like a Google Meet. It's a Google meeting tool, which is also part of the pre-Google Suite applications offered freely by Google. It's a video communication service. It's part of the two apps that constitute the replacement. Google are now trying to replace. Many of us have seen Google Hangouts in their Android phones, especially people using Android. You have seen a lot on Google Hangouts. So Google are using Google Meet to replace Google Hangout, and then Google Chat later on, which will be replaced. Google Chat is part of Google Hangout. When you're using your Gmail, you might be seeing Google Chat. At least sometimes you may not even know what it is, but it's part of Google Hangout too. Google Chat is part of Google Hangout. Can I have the next slide, sir, please?
Before you continue, I think it is also good for us to understand that there is a considerable difference between the normal Google Hangout Meet and Google Hangout Chat you see in your ordinary Gmail account compared to G Suite for Education and G Suite for Education Enterprise. Unlike in the normal Google Chat, where everybody can chat, G Suite for Education allows only within the domain communication, so as to safeguard the security of the student, to safeguard the security and privacy of each one using G Suite for Education. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Doctor. We have inside the tools, we now have learning management tools. We have Google Classroom, Google Assignments, and then Google Form. Google Classroom is also part of the G Suite, which is provided by Google freely. Google Classroom is a virtual classroom which Google aimed in simplifying and creating, distributing, grading assignments. Whatever you can think of that you have been doing inside your class can be done inside Google Classroom. In short, you can add your students, add lecture notes, attach Jamboard to it, attach Google Documents, Google Slide, make presentations, do quizzes, deliver your lessons or lectures wherever you are, and students will be able to see what you are delivering and then give you a feedback or reply to what you have given to them. The next one is Google Assignment. Google Assignment lets you quickly and securely it lets you quickly and securely create and analyze your grade coursework while empowering students to learn more effectively, because students will be right inside their own respected environments, and you will give them an assignment. They will reply to you through Google Assignment, and you will be able to grade them. And it's going to be super secured. No one can interrupt the transferring of the document between you and your students. The next one is Google Form. This Google Form is very, very essential. It's absolutely very, very essential. There are a lot of this COVID-19 form that people have been filling. It's not a Google form actually, rather a Microsoft form, but that's kind of absolutely similar. They are similar. It's similar to what Google Form is doing. You can create a form to have a feedback. You can create a form to have a quiz. You can create a form to ask students to watch a video and then give you a short or long answer. You can create a form to have a survey. So Google Form is very, very essential. I think due to time factor, I may not be able to talk much on the learning management tools. I will allow either Dr. Najib or Dr. Noor if they have anything to add on this learning management tools, please.
Okay. Initially, when we were talking about the features of G Suite for Education, we talked about the collaboration platforms. We talked about communication platforms. Now we are discussing learning management tools. So one of the things, like Google introduced, is this Google Classroom. One of the advantages of Google Classroom is now it incorporates plagiarism checker, just like when you have a Grammarly, where it checks students' plagiarism, where a teacher could be able to track where, when, and how students took exactly the work of someone without even acknowledging or paraphrasing. So it has this really, really cool feature, and it allows teachers to check plagiarism for students for at least 4 assignments. Not only that, it comes with a rubric, though it is not everywhere in the Nigerian education system they use rubrics. Rubrics is a kind of a guideline where a teacher, when he gives an assignment, will inform students that I will mark your assignment based on certain points. If you provide A, B, C, D, you have 6 points. If you provide dash, 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 and dash, you will have 5 points. So it is just like a framework where each student will understand and follow so that he could be marked according to his work. So that is one of the advantages of the Google Classroom. So now we talk about collaborative tools, communication tools. We talk about learning management tools as part of the feature of G Suite for Education. Now the next thing is to talk about organizing and planning tools in G Suite for Education. Abdul.
All right. We have organizing and planning tools. That is Google Calendar and then Google Keep. Let me ask a simple question. Have you ever find yourself in such a way that, oh God, I have a meeting, I have forgotten, I'm 15 minutes late. What is this? Because I was then, because with the help of Google Calendar now, you can create an event. That is number one. You can create an event for yourself. That is one. Number two, let's say this meeting we are doing now, this webinar, you have seen the webinar that is going to happen today. It's going to happen today at 10 a.m. and you have the link and what have you. So you want to add it into your calendar so that you won't forget, you won't regret it that, oh, I missed this meeting. All right, it's simple and easy. With the help of Google Calendar, you can create that event, or you can create an appointment slot with someone. Yeah, it also helps you in creating an appointment slot. Let's say, for instance, I have access to my Gmail, and I know Dr. Najib's Gmail address too. So I want to have a meeting with him, but I don't know how to talk to him. So it's easy. I can go to my calendar and create an appointment slot, so that whenever Dr. Najib has an appointment slot in his calendar, so he will be free within so time to so time. So I can book an appointment. This can help you with your students. Let's say, for instance, if parents of your students want to talk to you, so you need to create an appointment slot for parents so that you will be having accurate time in a real time, so that you won't miss it, in order the parents of your students, so that they will be able to communicate and contact you at an appropriate and normal time that you would like. The next one is Google Keep. Someone will ask me, what is Google Keep? Why am I seeing Google Keep here? Okay, so in short, Google Keep, the definition of Google Keep is just a not taking service. It's like a Jota. It's like an online Jota or a web-based Jota that you will be able to use in jotting whatever someone has been saying or has been tutoring or lecturing you with. It's also not a Jota. It can serve as a to-dos for you. You have to-dos for today. I'll go to webinar, OpenSchool webinar. Okay, I'm watching football by 3. I will read a book by 5 or 6. So you can arrange them. You can arrange it in such a way that this is to do my to-do list. I have this, I have that, I have that, I have that, I have that. And you can create it and you can share it with your student. Let's say, for instance, you created a to-dos for a whole semester or a whole term for you to deliver your classes, your lectures to your classes. So it's easy. You create it using Google Keep and share it with all your students, all the parents of your students, so that they will know what their children are doing. That's it for Google Keep and then Google Calendar. Dr. Nura, do you have anything to add on this? Okay, I think Dr. Nura, do you have anything? Okay.
Yeah, I know. Just continue. I think you're on track.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So moving on, we have management and then admin platform. Okay, in each and every single thing there is management and then there is admin platforms. In each and every organization, in each and every suit, whatever you have been doing, there has to be someone or something that is managing that thing. So let's take, for instance, this is the management and admin platform for G Suite. I'm talking now about how G Suite administrators do, or in short, what does Google should have an administrative platform? Yeah, it does. So let me talk on Google Bolt a little bit. It's among the core suites. Also, Google Bolt is among the core G Suite, also known as Google Apps, which allows you to determine what content, what are you going to allow your G Suite users to see or use. You can restrict them from receiving emails from so websites. You can whitelist so website, that this website and this website, Daily Trust website, can send email to my users. Google can send email to my users and others. You determine what functionality or how people search for and export data to make sure it meets your e-discovery and compliance need. Because when you are having G Suite inside school, you have different people with different behaviors, different attitudes. You definitely need to know how to control that. You have to know what to deliver, what are your users going to see, and others. And then when you're talking about the users, the users are we. I'm not a G Suite administrator. You are not a G Suite administrator. For instance, we are working under a school that is having G Suite in the school.
Abdul,
So,
for a moment, there are people that are interested in joining and you are not adding them, please.
Okay, sir. I'm not seeing anybody who is trying to join.
Okay, keep on.
All right, sir. But as I'm saying, these users are just we, not the non-administrative people. We are the normal users. So I'm a user, you are a user. Whoever is not an administrator or a G Suite admin, it's a user. That's just the user. The devices, the devices are simple. It's just a matter of logging in onto the that depends on what kind of device you are using. It can either be a simple laptop, maybe a complicated machine, a smartphone device, but advisably you don't want to use smartphone or Android phone to join or to log in onto your administrative platform. That's an advice, because there are some functionalities that are lacked in smartphone devices. Okay, how secured is your administrative platform? How secured? How can we secure this? That depends on how you discuss with your stakeholders or with your principals, VCs, registrars, rectors. What and what do you want to secure? What and what do you want people to do? And how secured is Google? Everybody knows Google is a very, very big company. So when you are trying to talk on security, if they are not diverse, definitely they are in the top 3 or top 2. So, Dr. Najib, can you add something to this?
I will ask Madam Nura to take over while you go and do with the administrative part. A lot of people are sending email to me. So please go and check. Okay. Nura, can you take over, please? Dr. Nura?
Yes.
Nura? Okay. Now, having looked at the features starting from the collaborative tools, communication tools, learning management system, planning and organizing, as well as the management and planning tools. Now, you can look at the simple statistics that like at the moment we have like 140 million plus students and teachers using G Suite for education. Not only that, at the moment, the statistics have it that about 40 million plus students and teachers using Google Classroom, and 7 of 8 Ivy League universities in the state are using G Suite for education. Now, the next section of the presentation has to do with why should I care as a teacher, as a school administrator, or a policy maker to even think about embedding G Suite for education in our school system. Madam Nura, can you take over, please? Probably you are on mute. Nura, you are on mute. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, I think Nura is on mute. Now, one of the reasons why we are interested in doing this is the first one is G Suite for education is free for public schools, right from primary school, secondary school, up to the universities, colleges of education, polytechnics. Once you are interested in subscribing to G Suite for education, it is free once it is a public school. However, if it is not a public school, then you need to go for G Suite for education enterprises. We will talk about how to sign up with G Suite for education. And one of the advantages is you don't need to have any infrastructure to sign for G Suite for education. You don't need to buy this, need to buy that, need to buy that. Once you have a functional website in your school, whether it is primary, secondary, or higher institutions, then you are good to go to sign up to have your own G Suite for education. Besides being it is free, Google allows each school that sign up for the G Suite to have up to 10,000 user license. By 10,000 user license, we mean that if you have up to 10,000 students in your school, each one will have his own email, will have his own Google Drive, will have all the features we mentioned earlier. That is the collaborative tool, the communication tools, the learning management tools. Every user will have that free of charge. So, and you can take up to 10,000 users. So one of the things you can do is, besides probably not all schools can have up to 10,000 students. So if you like, you have like a middle number like 2,000, 3,000, you can even provide a live account to your previous students, your alumni, so that you can always keep in touch with the students that pass through your school. So besides being it to be free, then it can provision up to 10,000 user licenses. And number 3, one of the advantages, and I really like this, especially for people in Africa where we have a limited access to internet. So there are some specific tools that you can use them even if you don't have an internet. These tools include Google Drive, Google Sheet, Google Docs, as well as Google Slides. And you can also use Gmail offline. Even if you don't have an internet, what will happen is all you need to do is there are some certain extensions that you are expected to download. Once you download, you will be good to go. And we have put a link on how to go about this if you are interested in using G Suite for Education offline. So you can use it offline. Once you are on the internet, it can sync so that you can continue with the work. The number 4 thing about G Suite for Education has to do with data security. Number 1, once you put all your tools, all your information in G Suite for Education under like Google Drive, there is no way you can lose a single data. That is something you will not be bothered about. So even if somebody fail your system, or there is a fire outbreak, or there is anything, your data will be there. So there is zero data loss. Number 2, unauthorized party cannot access your data. Anybody outside your school domain, there is no way he can access your data from that perspective, unless or until somebody ignorantly or unknowingly allow his password and other security features to be stolen. But as far as like you are following all the security as well as all the security safeguards, there is someone can access your data. Another thing is communication through Gmail, attachment and drive data all encrypted while in transit. So it will be difficult for somebody to just come and intercept your data. So as far as data security is concerned, with G Suite for Education, I think you can sleep in as much as you can follow the simple security tips provided by Google. Another thing has to do with privacy. Number 1, regardless of what is going to happen, Google assured its users that you own your own data. So like when you contracted a company, you put everything, every data of yours, data related to academic achievements, information, employee profile, academic record, and everything. So once you are no longer interested in using Google products, then there is what they call Google Checkout. They will provide everything for you. There is a tool for you to just transfer your data to Microsoft or any other education technology platform you are interested in. So they don't own your data. It is the school that owns its own data. Not only that, Google does not contain, G Suite for Education does not contain advertising, nor do they use information in those services for advertising purpose. You know, if you are using the ordinary Gmail, Google scan your document, human machine scan your document, so that they can scan the metadata in your information so that they can provide advertisement for advertisement purposes. But for education, this is for education, they don't scan your data for advertising purpose. All they need to do, they use their machine to scan the data in your system to enhance user experience. That is number 1. They scan your data to detect malware and malicious software and spam. That is all they do. And for you to accept that, you can look at the certification provided to Google, and it supports this what they call COPPA and PAPA compliance. This is for education, is COPPA and PAPA compliance. COPPA is Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, and PAPA is Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. So they laid down certain criteria that because it deals with minors, probably students like in kindergarten, students in primary school 1, primary school 2, primary school, up to the university, they say they need to safeguard their privacy. So they sign and they comply with all the rules and the regulations governing COPPA and further. Not only that, if you have any doubt, you can go, there is a link beside, we are going to send you the slide, that was certified by Auditing Standard Board of American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, that it is in conformity with the applicable trust services principles and criteria. So if they are all certified, they believe that they are following the right thing in terms of data and privacy. Now, let's talk about another accessibility. I think one of the attendees here raised an important point about accessibility. So here is the answer. One of the advantages of using G Suite for education is it provides accessibility features for physical and sensory disability as well as specific learning disability students. People with learning disabilities, there is a lot of tools that they can take advantage. For example, if you are using Google for education, they use what they call screen reader, so that for people with vision difficulties, there is even braille display for people that have problem with their vision. There is braille display, there is high contrast ability, there is voice recognition, there is closed captions. For example, now in this slide you can see this CC. So if there are hard hearing participants in this presentation, so if I put this, you can see now whatever I'm speaking, because of this closed caption, it is writing here. So hard hearing students or people who are having difficulty in following what I'm trying to say can follow this type of writing using closed captions. Another thing is there is also magnifiers. If the magnifiers I'm speaking, if you are a student, you can still use Google Teacher to even capture the lecture I'm doing now. Here is an example of voice typing technology. So you can see what you are trying to say using this voice typing. If, for example, you are using Google Docs, you can use Google Docs, you can use Google Keeps, so that you can record lectures while it is going on. So this is all part of accessibility features for physical and sensory disabilities and specific learning disabilities. And you yourself can also take advantage of these tools to just make your life easier. So not only that, another important reason why probably you may need to consider using G Suite for education, besides it is free, because besides it can give you 10,000 user licenses, because it has accessibility features and all other stuff. That is another thing that is really, really important when it comes to organization and planning. For example, if you are using G Suite for education, not this ordinary calendar, so if your school has different training rooms or conference rooms, or they have different educational technology, where you have projector, where you have televisions, where you have laboratories, and you need to book all this so that different groups or different programs can do this. So it has a special feature where you can book rooms, you can book facilities, and you can do this using that calendar system. You cannot see this facility in the ordinary calendar you have, but it is there in G Suite for Education. And one of the things is it's centrally organized shared resources. You see, under this Google Drive, not the ordinary Google Drive you have, in the Google Drive for G Suite for Education, you will find out that you can have what they call shared drives. For example, if you have administrators, based on your organizational unit, like for administrators, for principal officers, for accounting staff, for teachers, for senior staff, you can have a resources that you can share with everybody. Once you have shared that resources, everybody at any time can come and see. For example, if you have like this a form that everybody used to fill, so instead for you to be sending that form and through email to everybody who asks, all you need is just come and create a shared drive within the organizational unit. You can say everybody, every staff can access this document. So once he goes down to his Google Drive, he can see that shared document. All you need to do is just copy it and fill and do whatever you want. And if there is question papers, probably at the exam office, they said we need to, once you type your question paper, all you need to do is just put it in the shared drive. The examination officer will find it and do his own thing. So that is one of the advantages. You have a centrally organized shared resources using Google Drive, but it is, you can't see this shared drive in an ordinary G Drive unless you have G Suite for Education or G Suite for Education Enterprise. And you have a centralized communication. By centralized communication is you can use Google Chat, you can use Google Groups to make communication seamless, either synchronous or asynchronous communication. That is this type. And you can communicate with parents, you can communicate with contractors, you can communicate with other people or other stakeholders using all these resources. And there is this appointment slot for parents, where if parents are interested in discussing with students using online, or you want to come to school physically, there is appointment slot that you can share with parents. This is one other advantage. I don't know, Nura or Abdul, do you have anything to add?
You can proceed, please.
Okay. Now we provide justification on why should I care to either learn or to sign up with G Suite for Education. The next slide now will discuss why at this material time would anybody be interested in G Suite for Education. Now let's see what Kumar Nihansu has said. What he said is technology doesn't teach, teachers teach. But today, teachers who don't use technology will be replaced by teachers who do. That is one of the reasons. Teachers who use technology may probably be replaced by teachers who don't care in using technology. And Judge Koros has this to say: technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. So I think that is really, really a very good point. What he says is technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. So if you have a good teacher with a good technology, so the possibility to impart an engaging and interesting knowledge to students will really, really help. So it is now the pedagogy here is, formally we have like a teacher-centered approach, where it is only teachers that provide knowledge to students. And sometimes we have this teacher-student-centered approach, whereby it is not only the teacher that is going to be a source of knowledge, it is going to be a kind of one-to-one mapping kind of learning, where teachers have a say, students have a say, so a kind of constructivist approach when it comes to teaching. Not only that, according to Stefani Kestriel, head chief executive officer of Upwork, what he said in one of the World Economic Forum article is the future of work won't be about college degrees, it will be about job skills. So allowing students or providing all this type of technology engaging students to do that, it improves their skills, and we will see in the subsequent presentations. So for them, for a teacher or for a school authority to implement G Suite for education, it will translate to its students having an essential skill. Sorry, I think Malam Okasha, can you unmute yourself, please? Okay, thank you. So the future of work won't be about college degrees. It will be about job skills. And embedding G Suite for education in our day-to-day teaching and learning will provide transferable soft skills to our students. Not only that, in recently, Journal of Public Economics, volume 189, that will come out in September. The paper version will come up in September, and this article was accepted on 21st June 2020, and it's available 9th July, like 2 days back. One of the research conducted by one Jonathan, who published his research in the Journal of Public Economics. This is the finding of the research. They said that we find that 37% of jobs in the United States can be performed entirely at home, with significant variation across teachers and industries. These jobs typically say more than jobs that cannot be done at home and account for 46% of all U.S. wages. So it's 37% of the jobs in the United States, while in reality, we are in Nigeria, we are not yet closer to that. But this is a pointer to the fact that if people can have this kind of transferable soft skills, technological skills, that learning through this G Suite for education will impact to our students. So it means if there is any job crisis problem with regard to skills issue, our students will be safer. So it is better for us to prepare before all this kind of things come to our country. And now we are seeing this reality. Now, look at what Guardian newspaper, I have the link down, you can read it. This is what in today's paper says. As PUMS, Academic Staff Union of University PUMS, is U.S. plan to deport 16,000 Nigerian students studying in the United States of America. The Immigration and Custom Enforcement says it is repatriating 16,000 Nigerian students because their type of education does not require them to be physically in the United States of America. So since they don't need to go to class, so there is no need for them to stay in the United States of America, so they can come back to Nigeria so that they can continue their studies online. So you cannot have this type of skills unless you are being prepared. That is why now G Suite for education is available. We can start from primary, we can start from junior, we can start from higher institutions. So whenever this thing happens to our students, they have the skill to because like when you are enrolling into online classes or distance learning education, you have to learn how to use technology, and then you use technology to learn. So I think this is one of the reasons why we need to do this. So these 16,000 students are going to return to Nigeria because they no longer need to go to physical class. So that is something for us. Now let us look at the teachers. These are just some of the justifications we provided here. So now let's look at the teachers. You can see this. Those who attended Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University can relate to this type of theater. It may not be the ATBU theater, but this is something applied in almost all the Nigerian universities. So what is the advantage of using G Suite for education as a teacher? So here is an example. Look at another lecture theater. Look at it. So as a teacher, how will G Suite for education help you to be able to make life easier? For example, how do you think, given, like, suppose you are going to give 4 tests to students. These students are nearly up to at least like 800 or 1,000, if I can say. So, it is really, really very tiring as a teacher to mark the script of all these 1,000 plus students at the same time. And probably you are required to probably have an assessment, probably the first test, second test, the assignment, then the term paper, then before the final exam, then you have to produce this in a time that is required so that you cannot have problem with the calendar and the school management. So one of the advantages of using G Suite for education here is it allows for automation. And this automation is not only automating the paper. Okay, let me say, what do I mean by automation? So, you know, under the learning management system, we talk about Google Classroom, we talk about Google Assignments, and then we said Google Forms. So if, for example, you can have a self-graded test using Google Forms. So you can write all your tests, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can have like 20 multiple choice questions, or different type of questions. Google allows 10 different type of questions you can do. Yes or no answer, tick, multiple choice, gradient, and different type of question you can come up with, so that you can give all these students. So if there is access to devices there, and the students can even use their mobile phone to answer all these questions. So self-graded quiz, just provide self-graded quiz to the student, so that immediately the student touch the button that sends. When he finished and he said send, the moment he sends, he will have an automatic answer. The Google form will automatically mark all the questions and provide feedback to students. If, for example, you have 20 objective or multiple choice questions, and the student was able to pass like 10 over 20, so those questions students tell, there is a recommendation. The teacher will say, this is the answer. Go back to page 40 in the handout, revise section 2, page 3 of this. So it provides you with a feedback that, oh, I missed this part, but this is the answer. I missed this part, and this is the answer. So this is for education, provide teachers to make life easier for themselves. In reality, nobody will question your judgment once, because like there is what we call bring your own device. Even in the advanced country, they use bring your own device. If you don't have enough device to provide this test, I believe at least 90% of the students you are seeing, they have mobile smartphones. And most of the school can provide internet so that students can use their smartphone and take this examination. So this is just one example that can make life easier for teachers and even school authority. You don't need to waste time, you don't need to waste papers, and it provides feedback for students so that they can go and check where they went wrong. Not only that, if you have this kind of crowds, pedagogically speaking, how do you make a differentiation? Because naturally, in studies, in any kind of teaching, there is what we call slow learners. There is those learners that are very slow because they have a natural disability. Probably they are autistic in nature. Probably they have dyslexia. So it makes them very, very slow in their learning. Not only that, there are students that came from this high-failing, probably primary school or secondary, so their background is very, very solid compared to students that came from village and the analogy at the university or at secondary school. So there is different type of students. Then as a teacher, pedagogically speaking, each student is entitled to the same attention with them. And there are those people who have a high cognitive ability where they don't need to waste time in understanding complex analysis. So within 2 minutes, they understand this. Some students need like 10 to 15 minutes. So this differentiation, a teacher can use this type of tools to provide a differentiated learning. If you are a slow learner, this is your path. If you are a fast learner, this is your path. So this is for education allows for differentiation. Not only differentiation, this is for education tools allowed for modification. What do I mean by modification? What I mean by modification here is There are students that need types of, probably there are students that are dyslexic. So the type of font you use in writing may not be good for their brain to process. So how do I use a font that a dyslexic student can find it very comfortable and can easily be processed by his brain? So that is what we call modification. Some students are color-blind students. How do I provide a material or a learning instruction that is compatible with color-blind students? So all these tools provide all this kind of modification. And there is what we call an accommodation. How do we accommodate different types of students? Because some students naturally are very good at looking at learning materials that deals with that are visual. There are visual learners, there are audio, there are kinesthetic learners. There are different types of students with different learning styles. Some prefer to read, some prefer to watch, some prefer to listen, some prefer to write. So Google for Education, you can use all to provide accommodation to different types of students. Not only that you can do a blended learning. Sometimes you can do a lecture online if you may not be physically around. Sometimes you can have an in-classroom lecture. So this one is really important. Sometimes you can do what we call a flipped classroom, whereby students, you share resources to students to watch video, to read this, and when they come class, they can provide a feedback to what you learn. So these are all tools. All GC for Education provide automation, differentiation, modification, accommodation, blended learning, and flipped classroom. These are some of the features that teachers need to explore so that they can take advantage and help students so that they can excel. Abdul, do you have anything to add, Onura?
Possibly no. Go ahead.
Okay.
Continue, Doctor.
Okay. Now, talking to the students. So what are the perceptible advantage for students that the school authority introduce this duty for education or any technology to use? For example, there is it provides the student to have a critical thinking, because when you are using it for education, you will allow students to use this. You ask them to come up with something, so it improves their critical thinking skills. It improves their communication. Students could be able to communicate, probably using video, using audio, using design. They can communicate in different ways. And there are students that may not be even comfortable for writing. Then all these kind of tools allow students to share videos, to share audios, and they can do a lot of things. And it improves their collaboration skills. It improves their creativity. These are some of the advantages, and these 4 C's are what the future of jobs under World Education Forum, World Economic Forum are asking every school should provide. This is what UNESCO is trying to impart to our students. Now, coming to parents. So any parents that enroll their students in schools that use technology, they can have an advantage of having an appointment slot. So a teacher, a father or a mother who is interested in discussing a concern she had with a teacher or with a school management or with her son performance can slot an appointment, and boom, you will see it on your phone that so father is interested in meeting with the principal or with the rector or with the registrar or with any other person at the university. So already the school provides different slots, and then you have seen the appointment. So this one is really, really important. Another thing is there is a two-way communication between parents and school authority. So it helps in sending this kind of communication. Not only that, parents can also have an understanding or an insight on how their students are performing. Because like several times
Dr. Najib, if you can hear me, please. Your network is breaking up. You need to rewind yourself a little bit if you can hear me. We still can't hear you.
Sorry about the technical challenges, but I believe he's trying to reconnect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. It became muted when I... Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, sorry for the technical challenge. So what I'm trying to say, have I explained evidence of progress, please?
No, you are on communication.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say is you will have a two-way communication between parents and school authority. If you have a concern about your child progress, or you have a concern about a teacher, or a concern about how the school is introducing different changes, so there is a two-way communication. And not only that, the school can have what they call newsletter, where they can share with parents, they can do this. All of these tools are there under GC for education. And there is what we call an evidence of progress. When we were talking about Google Classroom, you will find out that there is a slot where they call it Guardian, in which a guardian can sign up so that he can monitor the activities of his son or daughter. Each class, a parent will get to have a notification about assignment given, a due date of the assignment, the mark of the student. When they shared, when there is a test, a father will get to know, and if the teacher marks the test or marks the exam or the term paper, a father will get to know how his students score. So that is this evidence of progress. In real life, I know some parents that have been paying money for their kids, but because of this lack of communication, some of them were unaware that their kids were expelled from schools. The student will keep coming to school, they will keep pretending, but parents don't know that their students were expelled. So Google Classroom has this kind of evidence of progress where a teacher can learn, where a parent can know what is going on with his student, can monitor his academic performance, and all that kind of thing. So now, toward the end of this presentation, the question is, we were able to explain to you what is G Suite for education, what are the features of G Suite for education, where we talk about collaborative tools, communication tools, organizing and planning tools, learning management system. We talk about the default, management, how we manage the device. After that, then we talk about why should anybody care to even listen to this presentation. We talk about all the perceptible advantage of using G Suite, ranging from it is free, about 10,000 user license, there is offline feature, there is unlimited storage, there is directorate. We talk about all this. Then we talk about why do we even care at this material time to embed G Suite for education in our educational system. We talk about possible various reasons, including how teachers can benefit, how teachers can work smarter and not harder, and all kind of things. So now we talk about what parents will benefit, what students can benefit. Now, how do I sign up with GC for education? Remember, I told you we have two types of GC for education. We have GC for education and GC for education enterprises. GC for education is the one that is free for all the public schools around the world. And you can have this GC for education in less than 14 days. What do you need for you to have it? Nura, can you talk about this? Nura? Okay. He's on mute, I think. So how do you sign up? The first thing, you need to have an official website. If you are a primary school, if you are a secondary school, if you are a tertiary institution, all you need is to provide an evidence you have a workable website. And you can provide a lot of signature about the website. That is the first step. The second step has to do with accreditation documents. If you are a primary school, if you are a secondary school, if you are a higher institution, there is a document that shows that you have an accreditation to run that school. If you are colleges of education, you have an accreditation document from National Commission for Colleges of Education. If you are a polytechnic, you have from National Board for Technical Education. If you are a university, you have from National University Commission. If you are a private school or private organizations, you will still have an accreditation. So you need to provide that accreditation document. Then you have to prove that your school has a non-profit status. This non-profit status can be provided by state government, by local government, so that when you have this, then you need to provide contact details, phone number, email address of the person signing up on behalf of your school. So these are the four things you are interested to sign up. We will send you this slide. There is a link that will take you to see how you can sign up if you have an interest. Nura, are you around, please? Abdulhayat, can you take over, please? Nura, you are on mute. Can you unmute yourself, please, Dr. Nura? Nura, can you unmute yourself? Okay. So these resources, this one has to do with resources. If you have some of the doubts or you need so many unanswered, if you have gone with so many unanswered questions, please click on this link. It will take you GCs for education frequently asked questions. If you are not a public school, you are a for-profit school, then you need to go to GCs for GCs Enterprises for Education. This is where you will have a lot of answered questions you may have. Then if you are a teacher and interested in learning, how do I make this automation? For example, self-graded quiz. How as a teacher can I allow the modification? How as a teacher can I do accommodation for students, this and that? When you go to this Google for Education Teacher Center, there is a lot of resources. It will take you so many years before you even finish. So there are a lot of things for you. And if you are looking for free resources and technology made for teachers, that teachers can take advantage, when you come to this place, you will definitely have a lot of resources to take home with you. Now, if you attend this seminar, there is a link also underneath. I think, Abdul, there is a link underneath. I will put it here under, I will put the link under this, what do you call it? I will put it here so that once you fill the form, it's just an evaluation. Once you fill the form, you will have this type of certificate. So now, thank you so much for having time to listen. Now it is question and answer session, and it can be moderated by Dr. Nura. Dr. Nura, please, can you take over? Thank you so much.
Okay. Hello. Thank you, Dr. Najib. I did not hear your last presentation because the mic, I don't know, somehow the speaker went off. But can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everyone, and thank you for the presentation. So far this morning we have discussed about G Suite for education. That means a platform or a collection of tools that allows educators and policy makers and whoever related to education to improve the way we deliver education. First of all, G Suite is a cloud-based services. I believe most of us understand what is cloud now. Cloud is delivering services over the internet. So they allow this one. You don't need to download anything. Everything you want to do, you can do it through browser or your smartphone or through an app that you can download either on Mac OS or your Windows application. So now most of the things or most of the technologies that are deployed for learning, you need to look at them and then you localize their solution. First of all, most of them you need a device to be able to use them. Secondly, you need power or electricity. Thirdly, you need internet accessibility. So before you embark on any of technology, available technology for your school or organization, you need to look at these factors. How can you implement or use these ones? That is one aspect. And secondly, your target, users. If you are in a public primary school, we all know the level of income of their parents, their exposure to devices, and the availability. But still, having said that, we still need to start somewhere. Start introducing this kind of technologies. Why? Because the world is changing, and if you don't introduce this kind of platform or possibilities, at some point you can get stuck. I think yesterday I read the news that WAEC in Nigeria is cancelled for 2020. If I'm correct, I saw that on BBC. I'm here in London, and I can tell you about over 100 schools I have seen. They have done their examination completely online, both secondary and including my university here at Brunel University. They did everything online. Why? Because it was easier for them. Long before Corona or pandemic, they already engage students using this kind of flip or blended learning. They do some things online, they do some things physical. So the students are already introduced to different kinds of technologies, and it is easier to transit from when you are like you are stuck with certain situation like the pandemic. You cannot go out, you cannot go to school. You can have an alternative. It's not a replacement, but it's an alternative to say that okay, there is a way we can deliver the same things we used to do when we go to our brick and mortar classes. So I believe that we need to look at this kind of opportunities presented by this kind of technology, and then discuss with the policymakers. And I have an experience from at informatics. When I went there in 2011, I wanted to test this kind of things. I created a mock examination and a mock lesson just to give it to students so that they understand how this kind of technologies work. Because it will be challenging to take your school curriculum, school assessment, and say, just convert it into electronic and start using it. It doesn't work that way. We need to have a strategic way of implementing and introducing this kind of technology. And even the authorities in your organization, they want to have a proof. So if you can start by doing something as a mock-up to test and familiarize yourself with this kind of technologies, I think that is something. So let me just, we don't have much time. Let's go for the question and answers, please, if you have any.
Yes, there are these questions I've jotted.
Okay.
There is this person, I think it's from, I can't remember the name. He was asking, how do G Suite for education help children with special education or special need?
Okay. So G Suite for education, interacting with technology for learning has certain degrees, depending on what kind of disability is that. There are some people with color blindness. color blindness, like they don't see colors the way we see them. When you see black, they see something else. You see blue, they see it's something else. So there are certain, like facilities, accessibility facilities they put in place that you can give student, you can add it so that when student with such conditions want to have access to the content, they can use those facilities. In some cases, there is need for hardware. For example, some people, they could not listen, they could not anything, so they need a vibrator. When a message comes in, you need to show them a sign for them to feel. So depending on the disability problem, you need to look for the G Suite list of accessibility features and then see which one fits into that particular condition. So you need to know what disability is that and what kind of content you want to present to them and what solution can fit into that particular problem. I think this will answer that.
Yeah, and the next question said that can a person join G Suite for education as an individual, or must it be an institution?
Okay, yes, you can join as individual, but still the registration is organizational. They have G Suite commercial one that private organization pay for the use of the tools, or you can be a public non-profit school. So you need to be one of these two categories to be able to join. You can use it, of course, whatever. You can have your own company and then register it and use G Suite, but you need to be paying a monthly subscription depending on the facility and features you want.
All right. Thank you. And the next one says can you use G Suite online? I think he's referring to G Suite co-ops.
Okay. Yes, some of the functions you can enable offline. For example, you explain Google Docs, the word processor for Google G Suite. You can enable offline facility so that even if you don't have internet connection, or you're on the go, or you're somewhere without accessibility, you can work offline. And when internet comes to that device, the application automatically synchronizes and updates the online version you have. So depending on the facility you want to use for Google, G Suite, but I think there are facilities that allows that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think the last but not the least he's saying can you recommend G Suite for education, for public higher education or higher schools per se?
Yes. Yeah, like here in advanced countries, there are universities that they make use of this, even though as a second layer. If your school already have what we call learning management system, or LMS, it has more facilities than G Suite, honestly. But if you don't have anything, G Suite is a good platform to begin with. You can start, engaging students, and teachers or lecturers with that. So if you don't have anything in place, I think it's a good place to introduce the idea of blended or flipped class, facility. So I think it's something good we can try. And since when we start this Open School Nigeria, I've seen some of the requests, they are coming from university lecturers and they engage their students while doing this lockdown. And they use it, and I think it was effective in engaging and continuing education. So it's possible you can use it.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nura. I think that's all the questions I have jotted. We are respected listeners and viewers. If you have any questions apart from the ones we have, feel free to unmute yourself and say it. Though we are having just 5 minute roundup. Thank you.
All right. So I think everyone is happy with what you said.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead. We can hear you, engineer.
Okay, I have a question, please.
Okay.
I know it is possible that some of our institutions do not have domain name email.
Okay.
Is it possible for them to register with other domain like Gmail, Yahoo, or Hotmail?
Yes. I have seen when you see American and British universities or schools, sometimes they don't have a domain name, like you said, email, something to say like info@abu.edu.ng. They don't have. All you need is to prove this is a registered institution or school. So you need to have accreditation letter or like document to support that this is a registered, recognized by government or legal entity that is delivering education. So you just need to prove that. It's only that it may be a little harder because you need a website and an email to register. So if you don't have that one, it may need extra documents, to prove that you have the right to use the G Suite. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Dr.
Hello,
Nura,
good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Najib, Dr. Nora, and Mr. Hayat for this beautiful presentation. My question goes this way. It is believed that the most important factor for a student's success is having a teacher-student relationship. How can G Suite for Education provide this solid, strong emotional relationship? Thank you.
All right. So when using G Suite, you collaborate mostly remotely. You don't even physically meet each other. If you're using Google, because if I'm in class with you, it's hardly I ask you to go there and then we talk through that one. So there are psychological aspects to G Suite. That is why there is a specialized training on using G Suite. So there are part of the training that teaches you how do you deal with students. When they are misbehaving or when there is a problem, how do you approach them? What manners should you use to use technology? Because sometimes I may be angry, but when I'm typing and chatting with you, you may not be able to notice that. So you need to have emotional, intelligence to be able to be controlling the way you engage with students. So this is going back to our personality. Actually, is beyond technology. This is personal. How do you relate? How do you talk to students? How do you respond to, to their requests? And even what time of the day are you? Is it in the morning? Is it afternoon? Is it, you're going to bed? Depends. There are so many factors, attached to this, but there are specialized training that will teach you a lot of basics on how to engage remote learning and, flip or blended teaching. So I believe there are a lot of factors to this. It's possible, but it has to be it has to do with personal,
Thank you very seriously, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hello.
please,
Hello.
before we go, I think there is a question raised by Dr. Abdul Hamid Umar with regard to proficiency of the caption tools provided by G Suite for Education. He made an example, he provided an example that when we use G Suite, it transcribes as Jesus, Delta is Delta. So let's.
Okay.
Hello. Hello, Mr. Ora. Hello, Mr. Ora. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Can I talk?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. From what I understood from engineer agricultural question,
Okay.
it's like he's asking, are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, from what I understand, it's like you want to, engineer agriculture from the question of engineer agriculture asks.
Okay.
It's like you want to clarify because in Dr. Najib's presentation he talked about a representative of an organization will sign off. So in that case, if the institution fulfills all the conditions to sign off,
okay,
then the person representative has an email domain attached to the school. I think that's what he is asking, but I'm not sure. Without that email domain, I mean the institution domain, how can they now certify that the person is truly representing that particular institution? You know, in this time of communism may happen.
Okay,
or even if it is not what he's asking, please, I have this in mind. How do they differentiate that this person is a certified representative of a particular organization?
Okay, Nora, can I come to your rescue, please?
Without the domain email.
Yeah,
thank you,
please
Mr.
go ahead.
Raj. Yeah. Mr. Raj, thank you for your intervention. When I was making that presentation, you know, I said there is this contact address, and you know, I said you have to provide some signature with regard to your website.
Yeah, I'm hearing.
If you are an admin, if you are the one representing your school, you know, for every website, there are some specific instructions associated with that website that the only admin knows that information. So you will there are certain specific information that you will have to validate your website. You will put your website, then there are certain instructions that you only have it when you are an admin or you are an authorized person of that university or of that school. So you have to validate that you own that website. Until you provide that validation, you will not be able to continue with the registration. So it is just a straightforward. And before we log out, I think there is a question submitted by Dr. Abdul Hamid. Dr. Abdul Hamid has concern with the closed caption, that it isn't capturing the exact wording someone mentioned. And the answer to that, it is just a machine learning. It is improving in understanding the accent of this person. You know, I'm not an Ayimbo person, and I don't pretend to talk like an Ayimbo. If I want to talk like an Ayimbo, when I say G Suite for education, it will capture it perfectly. But I always want to be natural. So that is why. So it all boils down to how you capture the word correctly as it can understand. Mohammed, I saw you are laughing. So I won't pretend to talk like an Oyinbo. Thank you so much. Dr. So I rest my case.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so I think we are fine. We are already 3 minutes beyond our schedule. Thank everyone for joining. And I think we have, you all have our emails.
Hello, please, I have a question.
I think our email is open. You can send anytime. We'll be able to respond accordingly.
Hello.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, hello.
Muhammad.
Please, I have a question, although it is almost time.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yes, sir. Yeah, please, there was a school that I'm handling their website, so I don't know how I can present such kind of things, though I'm late. I'm developing their site and they have actually been tutoring their
sorry, it's big.
So I don't know if there is a survey that is being made, like not here in North, the kind of hello? I hope you are hearing me.
Yeah. No, maybe now.
Hello? Okay. I said
yes.
There was a school that arrived.
Okay. You are managing a website?
Hello?
Hello, can you write it on top?
What I want to know is if there is a blueprint that I can present to the school, like the different plans and how I can convince them to pursue this type of G Suite activities in their school.
Mohammed, we will send the slides, and under frequently asked questions, you will have all your questions answered.
Okay,
Mohammed,
sir. Thank you, sir.
are you able to understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I.
We will send you the slides, and you follow
Yes,
the slides.
yes, sir.
We put links to all of this so you can find out, inshallah.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
Nora, I think we can log out now. Thank you. Thank everyone for having time to join OpenSchool Nigeria for the presentation. Don't forget to fill in the questionnaire so that you can have your own certificate of attendance. Thank you so much, everyone.